Hey guys, guess what? It's training camp. We finally made it. Training camp has officially started. And my 8-year-old daughter saw me watching the players arrive on TV, and she's like, great. Daddy's going to be obsessed about football again. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think the Bears just quietly signaled a change in plans. And ESPN's Courtney Cronin, she just reported that Bears wide receiver Luther Burden, it's hard to hear, he's not going to be practicing at the start of training camp. Now, this is kind of a quiet move that the Bears made just a couple days ago. They brought in a certain free agent wide receiver. Now, at first it was kind of puzzling to me, but now it kind of makes a little bit of sense. I think the Bears are hedging their bets here, showing their unsurety of their second-round draft pick being able to make an immediate impact, right? So who's going to be the true wide receiver 3 on this offense? I thought maybe with Burden out, it might be Zacchaeus, maybe Devin DuVernay. I mean, who knows? The fact that there's multiple players that I'm mentioning kind of tells you that the situation is in flux. And I think the Bears bringing in wide receiver DJ Chark in for a visit just on Monday, I think it signals that the Bears are like, hey, we're going to have to come up with a contingency plan because if Luther Burden is out, even a significant part of camp, it's going to be really difficult for him to hit the ground running as our wide receiver 3. And Ben Johnson has really big plans for him, but those plans might have to be put on the shelf. And I kind of joked at first that I thought Luther Burden's soft tissue injury was a wallet, like he fell on his wallet, but that deal is signed and he's still out. So let's kind of talk about this visit by DJ Chark, and then I'm going to get into more of this Luther Burden situation. Free agent wide receiver DJ Chark, he just met with the Bears on Monday. He's kind of weighing his options. He looks to enter his 8th NFL season. This is a veteran. He spent last season with the Chargers. He had 4 catches for only 31 yards, a touchdown in 7 games. It's also possible that the sudden retirement of Mike Williams, that could spark interest in Chark's return to LA. The guy's battled injuries during the season. He's lost playing time this last year as the year went on. He's had a relatively quiet market. It's just really interesting that the Bears bring him in at the same time that this is announced on Luther Burden. Now, getting back to this Cronin report, Burden got banged up when he landed on the ball in an early offseason practice. You guys, we saw that. But then it was really kept hush-hush as to what this soft tissue injury was. And guys like me are kind of jokingly referring to a wallet injury. That's not the case. I repeat, that's not the case. He was dealing with a hamstring injury at one point, and it's not clear which injury is forcing him to miss the start of camp, maybe a rib injury or a hamstring injury. Hearing hamstring, hearing lower body injury, man, that just really scares me, but it's a bad sign no matter what the case is. The fact that he's not going to start out practicing. And Ben Johnson isn't thrilled, right? He wasn't thrilled when he missed OTAs. He wasn't thrilled when he missed mandatory minicamp. And this is kind of what he had to say. It's an even brighter red flag. And we're talking about Burden leaving Missouri. He was really a schemed touch master, right? Absolutely would excel in Ben Johnson's offense. Absolutely a perfect fit for what Johnson likes to do. Johnson even made a couple comments that he would be the Amon-Ra St. Brown of this offense. That's really interesting. But now the bet of him carving out a role as a rookie right off the bat, the odds of that happening early in the season are decreasing by the day. Every single practice that he misses. And this is Johnson back in June. He misses a lot. Anytime you're not out there, if you're in the training room when the rest of the guys are practicing, you're losing valuable time. Valuable time with your coaches, valuable reps with your teammates. The ability to build the trust that we are talking about. Now, there's good news here. Burden's going to have plenty of time to make up what he missed. There's still time for him to build up on-field chemistry with quarterback Caleb Williams before the season starts, but doing so is just getting harder and harder if he's not ready to go in these upcoming practices. And the Bears, it's also interesting too, because coming into camp, you didn't hear any word about this. The Bears didn't actually place Burden on one of their injury lists when rookies reported to camp on July 19th. We're just hearing about this now. And it's just really interesting because the Bears at the same time meeting with essentially a one-year guy, a one-year Pro Bowler. Just really strange. Now it makes sense. And we're looking at this receiving core besides DJ Moore, besides Rome Odunze. We're kind of looking at some really promising guys. I think Zacchaeus can be an absolute stud in this scheme. He's a yak yardage guy. He has great agility. He has great hands, really good catch percentage, especially when he was in Washington. But he hasn't really gotten a full opportunity to really get extensive reps in an offense. He's guaranteed to be absolutely perfectly suited for the wide receiver role with the Bears. But the Bears, I don't think they're fully convinced. Behind Zacchaeus, there's not really a lot there, just kind of a bunch of junk. Devin DuVernay, he is definitely a quality player, but I think he's there for the return game as he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler in the return game. Actually, one of the best guys to lace it up, honestly, if you remember his years back with Baltimore. And then actually, it's interesting with Chark, they must have had something lucrative to offer him because he was just talking about retirement. So the fact that he came to visit the Bears is actually telling the Bears must be expressing a real need. And the Bears, they weren't essentially one of them. When you started thinking about retirement in the NFL, the Bears weren't really something that you and I would think about that there's a need and that he should go there because of the logjam of talent. But with this injury to Luther Burden, and then also there's some familiarity as well because Chark, he did have one season in Ben Johnson's scheme. It's been a while ago. We're talking 2022. He had 30 catches. He had 502 yards. He had a few touchdowns, 52 targets. And then he's been with 4 teams in the last 4 years total. So kind of look at Chark during his career, and he has shown some really good flashes. He had that Pro Bowl year in 2019. Man, that feels like just yesterday. These years go past really quickly. I mean, especially as a father, if you guys have especially a daughter, these years just roll by so quick. And I'm going to be putting her in 3rd grade this fall. Not fun, but let me get back to this. In 2019, he was a 1,000-yard receiver with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was with the Chargers last year. But over his career, he's caught 216 passes for 3,100 yards, 24 touchdowns, and that's over 7 seasons with the 2019 Pro Bowl year. Now, Chark is kind of saying that he's weighing his options. That could include the Bears if they make him a contract offer. He left without a contract. And to hear from Chark, this doesn't sound like a guy that's fully invested in playing in the NFL, by the way. It depends. It'll have to be something that makes sense from a family perspective and also from an X's and O's perspective. I think he wants to play in a familiar scheme, and Ben Johnson's scheme is definitely familiar. Getting up and going to any team just for the excitement, I always love the game, but at this point, putting myself and my family in a great position, that's what's ideal for me. The guy's just gone through numerous injuries. It's really too bad to see. According to league injury reports, he had hip and groin injury concerns last year, elbow and hamstring issues in 23, an ankle in 22, and in 21, biggest injury, season-ending fractured ankle. Shin, ribs, ankle, chest injuries in 2020, ankle injury in 19, a quad injury in 2018. This guy has just been really susceptible to lower body injuries. It's a little concerning, but if he is fully healthy, you're looking at a 6'1" guy, one of the bigger receivers that the Bears have at camp. Not bigger than Rome. We forget about Miles Boykin. He's in camp. He's 6'3". Rome Odunze is 6'3". Samori Toure, he's 6'1", a cast-off from Green Bay. The thing is, he does have some pop. He did run a 4.3440 at the combine, but that speed doesn't really look apparent anymore due to all these lower body injuries. He has maintained a high average yards per catch rate at 14.4 through the injuries, through the inactivity. Played only 105 snaps last year. So I think it's not so much, hey, the Bears are going to sign DJ Chark. I just think it's really interesting, and it's showing that the Bears are uncomfortable with their standing at number 3 wide receiver. I don't think they're fully convinced the guys on the roster are going to be able to step right up. I'll argue Zacchaeus is. But, yeah, I think the Bears see that they need to have another body in tow, and it kind of speaks that this Luther Burden injury might be one that kind of holds out. Looking at Johnson, though, all of these lower body injuries, our head coach is somebody that has dealt with reclamation projects, especially at wide receiver, with great success. Think about Tim Patrick. During his years in Denver, he was a guy that was kind of considered cooked, just injury after injury. He had an Achilles injury, an ACL injury in successive years, and he came to Detroit and really balled out. And then you're also looking at Josh Reynolds, his career. That seemed to be bottoming out, but the Lions, they ended up getting 38 and 40 catches out of him in successive years under Ben Johnson. And then Reynolds went to Denver and Jacksonville last year. He only had 13 catches, so it's pretty evident that Ben Johnson really knows how to get every last drop of talent out of these fringe receivers. And then the receiver room, it looks crowded. They're going to have some really tough roster decisions to make, and I like hearing that when we get down to the 53. And that's why, Zacchaeus, could he actually be a potential trade candidate, even though he just got signed? There's just a lot of stuff here. The Chicago Bears met with former Pro Bowl pass catcher DJ Chark. Please don't trade Zacchaeus. I think he's going to be an absolute baller for this spot. Not that he's going to lead the team in reception yards, but the guy's just a yak monster. I don't think it's a bad idea to bring Chark in, kick the tires a little bit. I don't think it's a bad idea to bring another couple wide receivers in for camp bodies. But man, I think Zacchaeus can definitely fill that role. That yak role, that kind of change of pace role that Ben Johnson really likes to run. But man, Luther Burden, get healthy. I think the guy's just an absolute stud. One of my favorite players in this whole draft. He's just got to get on the field, and the sooner the better, the sooner that we're going to be able to get this offense together. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. Is DJ Chark even in the conversation as something that the Bears should sign? Do you agree with me that you think it's just kind of a signal that Luther Burden, his injury is more serious than really was let on, that has really still been being shared? And I'll continue to be here on the Daily. Bear down and enjoy camp. See ya.